Hello everyone, my name is Shannon Carter and I'm a Communities Coordinator here at ASUG. I'd like to welcome you to the ASUG Webcast, Customer Success Story. FGS overcomes retail challenges to gain a competitive edge with DataXstream's order management point-of-sale solution for SAP, and thank you for participating today. So I have a few announcements from ASUG headquarters. Look for personalized webcast listings each Monday and visit asug.com/events for more webcasts. Today's webcast is being recorded and the slides will be posted to the ASUG website as well as emailed to all registrants. All participant lines are currently on mute. However, we'd like to make sure that participants are asking their questions throughout the webcast. If you do have a question, please type it in the Q&A window in the lower right corner of your screen. For SAP Tech Ed and Decode, October 20th through the 24th in Las Vegas, which will feature 100 hours of ASUG content, including pre-conferences. Registration is now open. For more info, please visit www.sapdecode.com. There will also be an ASUG webcast series leading up to the event, which can be found on asug.com. Now I'd like to turn over to Bill Emmer, the Chair for the Wholesale Distribution SIG, who will introduce our speakers for today. Bill?
Thank you. Off of the Retail and Wholesale Distribution SIGs, I would like to welcome everybody to today's webcast. My name is Bill Emmer, and as Shannon said, I'm the chair for the ASUG Wholesale Distribution SIG. By day, I'm the CIO for Butler Supply Inc., electrical and plumbing wholesaler based in the Midwest. Today, I'm pleased to introduce today's cast by Fruit Grower Supply and their partner DataXstream. They'll be talking to us about their order management and point-of-sale solution and how it gives them a competitive edge. So let's start with Tim Yates, DataXstream co-founder and CEO.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Again, I'm going to speak to you today about the FGS implementation of DataXstream's order management and point-of-sale solution. And as soon as my slides advance, there we go. I'm Tim Yates. I'm co-founder and CEO of DataXstream. I've been working with SAP for about 18 years now. I specialize in program management and project management. My background is SAP development with specialization in SAP retail. On the call, we have Ron Votto, our sales director, as well. Joining from Fruit Grower Supply, we have Charles Boyce. He's the VP of Finance and CFO, and was our project sponsor. Alec Perlovich, who is the Director of IT for FGS, and he was the SAP Program Manager for this implementation. Today's agenda, we're going to cover the following topics. We'll do a brief introduction to DataXstream. We'll switch over and have the Fruit Growers team discuss their project and company story. We'll go to DataXstream's order management and point-of-sale solution, and then we'll wrap up with a benefits summary. A bit about DataXstream. It's been in operation since 1996. We have business lines in SAP Consulting, both functional and technical. We have a business line of ISV enablement where we assist other software companies with integrating their solutions to SAP. A product development team that develops primarily integration solutions for SAP for B2B scenarios. And our order management and point-of-sale solution for specialty retail. We'll pride ourselves on a 100% project success rate. Some of our customers, this represents both customers that we work for with consulting engagements, our Extreme Connector products, as well as some of our ISV enablement customers such as CA. With that, turn it over to the Fruit Growers team.
Everyone, this is Charlie Boyce, Chief Financial Officer of Fruit Growers, and thank you for joining us today. Fruit Supply Company was organized in 1907. It was formed out of necessity in the aftermath of the San Francisco earthquake and fire of 1906. Sunkist growers at that time needed a reliable source of wood crates, so Fruit Growers was established and acquired timber holdings and sawmills in Northern California and manufactured wood shook crates to ship citrus. Although we no longer manufacture the wood crates, we still have significant timber holdings in Northern California as well as in Oregon and Washington. Our operations include 6 retail locations in California, 5 in the Agora regions of California, and 1 in Arizona, in Yuma, Arizona. Essentially, we provide everything that a grower or a packing house would need to grow, harvest, package, and ship various agricultural commodities. Our retail centers are open to the public through over-the-counter sales and also specialized ordering, including restricted materials such as fertilizer and pesticide. We also have custom-designed irrigation systems. Well, the company achieves annual sales of around $200 million with 280 employees.
Alex Perlovich from Fruit Growers. I want to tell a bit about systems we have and kind of where we are now with all this. Speak about where we were just a few months ago. We were running ECC 6, no enhancement packs. They were on a single Windows 2003 server, our instances, our database, everything, so no redundancy. Interaction from the retail was done through the SAP GUI. We had numerous custom codes, custom codes to do a large number of items, a lot of batch scripting, a lot of cell processes to run Java services, Java servers to run all peripherals at each site, like poll displays, signature pads, cash drawers, and per legacy operating systems, things like Windows 2003 and SQL 2005. Where today we have a much more distributed SAP environment, a lot more redundancy built in. We are on the latest enhancement pack now, enhancement pack 7. We've added NetWeaver to do the build for the point of sale to allow more use, and still pretty much in the same modules, you know, SD, FICO, MM, things like that. On maybe to the next slide, Tim. Why did we change, or why did we need to push that? Besides the legacy items, we had a number of our devices, specifically signature pads, that were no longer supported because of their age. And to change them out would require extensive customization, code changes, Java services, just to get new devices working. Also, along that line, the company that did integrate our point of sale was bought out and technically no longer exists and was not supporting our software. And our EMV change, which we'll talk to a little bit more a little later, there was no future in sight to ever support that for the next couple years. Finally, PCI compliance is always a big item to keep an eye out and to achieve and to make sure always following the correct protocols. Our change, when we had to do this cutover, was pretty critical because we had very little downtime. We do work on some weekends, so we had to decide on a sort of cutover. We also have seasonal factors to consider. Pick up at certain times of the year and low volume at other times, which is why we chose Memorial Day last month to do our cutover. We change over. Like I mentioned, we had a number of legacy systems, so not only did we update SAP to the latest enhancement pack, we also updated to the latest SQL servers, 2012, also to the latest Windows environment, 2012 as well, not only to enable better support, but also not to be stuck in that end-of-life support for Microsoft or other products that are associated with it. With that, when we decided to go through this whole change and decision, The way we came about doing this was we formed a small committee. This committee was made up of myself, of our CFO, Charles, Director of Operations, and our Controller from Accounting. We went about and set up our requirements, selection process, printing, all the way to the end, development and go live. With that, I will take it over to Charles. Sorry, this is mine. Some items here about our goals when we were into this. We needed to support different payment methods, check, cash, credit. One sort of big, and kind of want to maybe think of it as a payment method that's unique to fruit growers, is we do a lot of on account. So what we call members, where they don't actually do any tender. They would come in and on account buy something, at which point at a later time be billed through our accounting systems for the items. The very specialized and specific needs that we did have. We also want to increase certain sales opportunities, capture maybe more information of the customer, be able to display that information, be able to do things like promotions, complex pricing, depending on, like I mentioned, if you're a member or if you're an open market person, different pricing could apply at certain levels of item. Let's say if you bought 1,000 of a certain piece, again, different kind of pricing would apply, and that would also be depending, again, if you're a member or you are not in your open market, which is more of like the public. Also, to help at the end of the day for our retail managers to be able to support their systems, to be able to report, finish their end-of-day processes, cash management, stuff that sort of goes along with the retail environment. Again, why we sort of focused on this solution, it's critical, is that this has absolutely no interfaces with SAP. This is something built into SAP, which Tim will most likely talk a little later. So there is none of that issues that you do have with interfaces coming up. That system, of course, because it's all within SAP. Again, nothing else to fail or have to worry about or troubleshoot with that. Along those lines, some of our other requirements with all that, which was critical to us, is we have what's called a parent-child relationship. And what that means is sometimes you'll have these big corporations, and under them they'll have smaller ones. And what that means is these small operations would come up with their buyers to buy certain items, but then bill to the parent corporation or to different locations. So we would sometimes have a different bill to party, a different ship to party, and even a different sold to party, which becomes kind of complex to deal with. And along those lines too is we also deal with hazardous substances. We have permits, fertilizers we sell that have very specific requirements. Permits have to be on file, have to be recorded for certain customers. They can only buy materials based on their permits, and all have to be presented to the sales associates at the retail site in an easy manner, so they know who to sell to. So we're violating any sort of laws, requirements with that. And finally, another big one is we had to be able to support signature capture on all our invoices. And that's always critical, that even if you don't do a credit card transaction, we still needed a signature capture, not only from the previous mentioned hazardous materials, but because, again, of these larger corporations and bills being sent out to the accounting system to have proof that that person did buy what they did buy. Did we pick DataXstream? few reasons. They were one of the very few people who were able to support all those requirements that I mentioned. They already had a system in place in another retail location. SAP knowledge in upgrading. I also mentioned it wasn't just a point of sale upgrade, it was an SAP upgrade, it was a Windows upgrade, it was a SQL database upgrade, which was a critical I have to make that transition much smoother. Also a very clear understanding and idea of what we need to go to, our budget process, and all those factors. Kind of want to bring it back over to Tim and Ron.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see, FGS has a unique set of requirements that are both point of sale like as well as order management like. The project was laid out in the following way. We did a two-week assessment where we assessed infrastructure, existing point of sale solution, looked at all the pieces to upgrading the system as well as bringing in the new point of sale, and used that to dial in a project plan and to level resources for the project to ensure that we were going to be successful. The actual cutover was a 4-day cutover over the Motion holiday weekend in September. We picked that time because of the number of steps we had to go through to actually upgrade the system. It requires us to patch a copy and patch the existing system, then do a homogeneous OSD migration with Unicode conversion. And from there, we applied the enhancement packs to the system to bring it up to the latest and greatest patch levels, and installed the point of sale software over top of the newly upgraded system. The requirements we had on the project were to minimize the impact to the business, specifically with point of sale. They had very specific steps and operations they were following today, and so we had to look to mimic and reproduce as much of the current process as they had that made sense, and provide them with better tools where possible to streamline the process. Another requirement of the project that was important was to be able to maintain some of their existing legacy order processes. So we laid in a new point of sale for cash process for cash and carry, and then we configured our solution to allow them to continue to use their own account order processes so as to not disrupt that part of their business, and keep things as consistent as possible going forward after the upgrade. Things that we delivered, the new terminal capabilities were advanced hardware integration. So instead of a bunch of disconnected hardware devices, they're now using a fully integrated pin pad device, which you'll see in our video cap later in the presentation. Very flexible controls in terms of how you tender, and allows you significant flexibility in terms of multi-tenders, refund, and return processes. And then the fact that all transactions can be simple, but then they have mixed in there fairly complex retail transactions where customers are coming in, purchasing materials, maybe for it to arrive because it's a special order item. It may be an item that is too big to take in one trip, so multiple deliveries, as well as the potential for changing things up on that order as the transaction proceeds. So very long-tailed, the potential for very long-tailed retail transactions. A little bit about our point-of-sale solution in order management. It is a browser-based solution. Runs on top of standard SAP ECC or runs on SAP for retail. So an important distinction. We have customers running on both of those platforms. It seamlessly works with both, and obviously ECC and SAP Retail have slightly different back-end capabilities, but the solution layers over both of those solutions seamlessly. When we deploy the solution into a development environment, we use the standard add-on assembly kit for SAP, and the actual deployment of the software takes less than a day, and it's under a week for us to typically clip in and configure all the various pieces to bring the point of sale up and running, and that includes also potentially clipping into existing retail processes or sales and distribution processes and mapping them into the front end. It supports standard processes, standard orders, orders that have back order or special order capability, depositors, as well as on-account transactions. We're actually working with a new retailer, and one of the things that we're presented with is, could we handle layaway orders and orders, and it fits very nicely into our solution and interface as well. Another benefit of the solution is it allows you to implement a consistent design across all channels, so store, web, and call center. This is important for customers that are retailing in all of these channels, and the solution allows you to move seamlessly from, let's say, a web transaction where a customer may create it online, walk into our hours later and say, I'd like to talk to you about this order, or I'd like to make a change, or I'd like to go ahead and take delivery of this. The store has access to the same exact things and the actual order that was generated from the web. When they interact with it, those same interactions show up on the web as well if they were to go back and check their order later online. And then with that same type of integration, the interface can be used in a call center so that no matter which channel the customer is coming into, they're going to get the same story with the same information, and essentially there's only one order that's being managed. In the background, there's no replication of orders across those channels. A huge benefit is it can overlay and simplify the SD order process. So it's really applicable to a retailer. It's also applicable to a wholesaler with light retail capabilities or an online retailer using SAP as their back end. It essentially lets you take your existing order process, simplify it into an interface where the end user doesn't need to know SAP, needs to know how to run or execute a basic retail transaction. Along with solution, we support multiple hardware integration scenarios. We're built on the standard OPOS interface, and it supports various advanced tendering technologies. So we support both SAP's P-card interface integration through SAP with payment companies like Delego and Paymetrics. We also support sidecar integration where the device operates completely independent with companies like Shift4 or Tempest. In addition to having the retail capabilities that are typical to a retail point-of-sale solution, we have integrated document management for capturing of receipts, tax-exempt certificates, and any other type of document that you may want to display to the customer, such as or have available to print for the customer, such as an MSDS sheet or an instruction sheet around a specific item being sold. It has significant integration and customer visibility and reporting on the front end that allows a user to see customers' purchase history, recent orders, current open orders. There's also a very strong functionality for looking up customers as well as finding orders for returns. Lastly, the solution is easily expandable to any customer process and custom requirement. Because it's built on top of the SAP NetWeaver platform, ECC, and SAP for Retail, essentially you have all the capabilities of the SAP Enhancement Framework sitting at your disposal to build custom pieces and solutions for the process. And so we took our standard point of sale solution, layered into FGS, and then took some of their custom requirements using the enhancement framework that SAP provides to give them quick and simple enhancements to meet their very specific needs for their retail operations. Okay, we're going to go into a demonstration. I'm going to show you some screen captures and walk you through them, and then I'm going to show you some a live cap that we did that will be able to show you some of the hardware integration as well as the screens as we're going. Start off with is our order entry screen where you would start the order process. We have 3 tabs to this. At the top, quick functions, customer functions, and order functions. Quick functions will to enter an order and start the order process quickly. If you click quick order, that's an anonymous customer order, and it drops you right into the interface, and you can start transacting with that particular anonymous customer. A quote would be for a customer looking to get pricing but not ready to purchase, and later those quotes can then be converted to an order if they decide to move forward. There's the new order tab. If customer walks in and the customer is known, they can quickly enter the customer number and get the customer's order started, which is actually the case for a lot of the transactions at FGS. Their store users are very familiar with a lot of the growers that are coming in there, and so they'll start orders very frequently from this screen. If a customer comes in with an order and is looking to make a change, pull up one to review the transaction, then we have our order view functions. Our custom functions tab serves 2 purposes. It allows you to search for existing customers in your database as well as create them on the fly quickly. So essentially you can search for a customer with basic information like name, phone number, email address, state, zip. And the search, the more information you provide, obviously provides you with a much more narrow set of customers. If you find the customer you're looking for, you can select the customer in the pick list at the bottom, and they go immediately into creating a new order, or you can go into searching for that specific customer's orders in the case of a return where the receipt isn't present. In addition, if the customer is not found or it's a new customer and you've entered the information in the search, you can then augment that information with whatever additional information the customer provides and click the Customer Create button to build that customer on the fly. A great feature if you're trying to build a marketing database for your anonymous customers to try and build those cash and carry customers into your system quickly and catch even just basic data like an email address or a phone number in order to identify them uniquely in the future. Our order functions tab allows you to do search by credit card to find orders that have been tendered with a specific credit card. You can also search for that specific customer with the customer numbers orders, as well as if the customer comes in and is looking to try and retrieve an order for a return, you can search by a specific part by shooting it with a scan gun. When you enter an order, I'm going to show you some of the functionality that's FGS specific here. So in this particular case, this customer is flagged with a tax exempt certificate or ag tax exempt certificate, and is prompting the user to select whether this will be an ag tax exempt transaction. With the face, you can see some the basic order entry screen. At the top of the screen, we can see the order header, which provides you with the total amount of the order, the tax, balance due, payments, refunds that have been done on this order, deliveries, as well as returns. Basic information in the header area. This is the specific fields that FGS was interested in, but is completely configurable and can be either slimmed down to less fields if they're not required, or can be expanded to include pretty much any field that's in the header of a standard SAP sales order. And then you have your line item details in the bottom that supports fuzzy logic searches in the material number field, so you can either type the part name or description, an old part number, you can shoot the UPC code, as well as manufacturer's part number or old SAP part number. The material that was selected is a dual-use material, and if this is specific functionality that was required for fruit grower supply, it went and looked up, so it determined that the material was a dual use, and went to the customer's customer master and went and pulled up the specifics of the permits on file. And this particular customer that is being transacted against does not actually have permits on file or operator permits. So the system would respond appropriately when they click yes, it's for ag use, or no, it's not for ag use. Once the lines have been created on the order, we move to the tendering functions. And basically it's split into two primary functional areas, the quick tender tab section and the tender history. So we support cash payments, credit card, check card. We also have the ability to do in-store credit programs, which FGS is not using but is available with it. The system, when you click on one of the quick tab buttons, will activate the hardware and start walking you through the process in terms of a credit card transaction, or we'll walk you through the tendering process in terms of a cash transaction. Bottom of the screen, each time you make a tender, you'll see that tender summarized at the bottom, and you're able to see payments, refunds, returns, and the system can also be configured to show you cancellations if there are back-end processes being done in the back office that are causing tenders to move around. If a tender or credit card fails authorization, you would also see that at the bottom with a red light, as well as the status code of what occurred and why the transaction was declined. Moving to the delivery tab. In this particular order, it has items that require selection to be delivered. So one of the flexibilities of the solution is if a customer orders a large number of pallets of material required for their particular task they're doing, and they're picking them up in a smaller vehicle, let's say a pickup truck that can carry 2 pallets at a time. Fruit growers do a transaction for 20 pallets, tender it, and then deliver it 2 pallets at a time as the customer continues to come back and pick them up. The system keeps track of what's been tendered and what's been delivered, and keeps control over that process so that you can do things like partial payment, partial delivery. You put down 50%. You want to take some of the material with you now, and as you get closer to the 50% mark, maybe tender the rest of the order. So it's very flexible that way in terms of what you can do in terms of tendering and delivery. There you the document management page. This is integrated into SAP's DMS solution. For fruit growers, we're using SAP's standard document management server to manage receipts as well as permits, and it could also be plugged into any compatible document management solution that supports SAP's DMS interface, such as OpenText. In this particular tab, we can see that on the left-hand pane, it's highlighting the payments that have been taken on this order, as well as the deliveries. And in the right-hand tab, it shows you the PDF document that was generated and archived on the DMS server. A key feature of this is it captures the signature for the form, but it also captures the form in its current state. So many standard SD typically will regenerate the form each time you ask to print it. And what can happen is over time, that form is changed via development to make improvements or changes to wording. But when you bring up that form later after a change has occurred, you may present a customer with a form that isn't accurate because it was generated dynamically off of the new form. All these forms are stored in the document management server as they were generated the day the customer signed them. So there is no issues with the form getting overwritten and updated, as well as capturing the signature. This also opens the door to be able to email receipts to the customer. And one of the things FGS has that runs in background is they collect up all the forms for the growers at the end of the day for a particular packing house. They build one PDF to send off to the purchasing departments of the growers so that they can look at all the purchasing activity that was transacted for the day at Fruit Grower Supply. Now I'm going to show you a quick demo video. We've actually slowed it down a little bit because it's fairly fast to transact within the system. Here we're going to pick a bill to because there are multiples. It's asking them to review the customer text, and as well, this is an ag tax customer, so it asks for the customer to be whether it was a ag tax exempt transaction. We're going to put restricted material on this particular order. It's going to bring up the pop-up and ask the store associate to confirm whether it's for ag use. You can see the line display on the side brought up. We're going to do a card transaction. It's prompting the customer on the device to for the payment. It is now waiting for the customer to swipe his card. At this point, it's going to prompt the customer for signature. And upon confirmation of the signature by the customer sales associate, it will release this to the payment gateway. Fruit Growers is using Delego software on the back end for their payment processing. And we can see we have an approved Amex with a verified token to mask the card information. We can see the document management system was updated and the form was generated and printed to the register. End of our screen caps. Moving on, I'm going to turn it back over to Alex to just talk through some of the benefits.
This is Charlie Boyce. Just wanted to cover some of the many benefits that we experienced through this project. First of all, we achieved a compressed project timeline, which, as Alex mentioned, was necessary because of hardware obsolescence needing to have a 3-day weekend. So we completed the conversion over the Labor Day weekend. Through the process, we really had great success, a very smooth conversion, and a very complicated project. The workflow of the order process has been streamlined through the implementation of the point-of-sale system. Peripheral hardware support calls have been reduced significantly, and we've reduced the number of devices. We got rid of poll displays. If we can move to the next slide. We have an integrated SAP solution now. We're PCI compliant. We upgraded to the latest versions of SAP, Windows, and SQL, which provides for more efficient support. And finally, system and hardware designed to support future EMV requirements.
And this is Alex. I kind of wanted to go over some of the items that we reviewed before we went with this project. They're pretty critical, and these are just some of the few ones pretty critical for a successful go live. One of the things we had is we had an assessment done beforehand where we, of course, gave our requirements. We also actually asked DataXstream to approve some of the features we needed, like signature capture, etc. So that was sort of a very critical beforehand item to prove that it was able to be done. One of the most critical ones is documenting your test scripts. In case it was from the whole company, because we were not only doing the point of sale, but we were also doing SP. So we need very detailed test scripts, all areas of the company, specifically point of sale, but that was very critical in making sure you cover all your bases, you test all functions, and go through all your test cycles efficiently. Probably number one of all that. And another really big one, too, is, of course, having the support from the executive team with this, since there is a change that happens in a lot of the areas and processes, and that's one of the really critical things. With that, I'm going to bring you back over to Tim.
All right, I'm going to add to this slide just a little bit. So one of the things we looked at was for the upgrade specifically, did FruitGrowers have sufficient test scripts? Alex and I determined very quickly that we were going to need to expand out and build out a test harness for this. FruitGrowers Supply did an amazing job and generated very detailed test scenarios and scripts, 350 to be exact, and we ran 3 full integration test cycles with the point of sale and the upgrade functionality, which very much helped the project be as successful as it was. In addition, we had support from the executive team and all members of FruitGrowers Supply, very enthusiastic, and again, a huge contributor to our success with this project. Some of the benefits and key fits for the point of sale solution. Obviously, if you're an SAP customer and you're looking for a point of sale solution, you have complex order processes, this is a good fit, very streamlined and very customizable to specific customers' retail needs. Considering SAP with for their backend that have a need for a consistent multi-channel process, they're looking for a solution that doesn't require significant data integration between distributed point of sale and the back-end ERP system. And any business looking for advanced retail capabilities that has complex multi-touch retail experience, and this can be wholesalers or retailers that have customer-facing operations. Specifically, it's a great fit for special order processing, orders where you have complex sourcing requirements, where you may source it from a vendor direct or a DC. The power of SAP SD on the back end allows for a simple transaction on the front side and for a very complex process to kick off on the back side to source that product and get it to the customer. And then high-touch type order situations, multiple deliveries, multiple tiers, changing and substitutions on order with changes in total tender amounts, so either collecting more funds or refunding funds because of a change. But it's a terrific fit for those customers looking for a solution that has the ability to provide a very flexible retail experience for the customer. With that, we're at our question and answer, and I think we're going to turn it back over to ASUG.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We have a question. Matthew would like to know, how do you handle payments in different forms? Part P card, part cash, part check. Do you do it on the same order?
No. So all payments, so if you were to look at the SAP document flow in background, essentially the order's created and every piece of the puzzle transaction-wise is a subsequent document created with reference. Such tender is actually abstracted from the order and that's done purposefully to create a disconnect between the tendering and the actual order and the order lines. And it allows you to then move tender around independently of the actual order and the deliveries. And then on the backside, there's a control system. We call it the position control system. And it dynamically is looking at all the pieces of the order and keeping the order process in check. So you've tendered sufficient funds, you've delivered, and therefore you can deliver what you're trying to deliver.
Okay. If you have back-ordered parts, do you over-authorize the P card to cover any unforeseen costs?
That can be done. That's more of a customer preference. So in specific backorder processing, we have some customers that wish to fully tender. We have some customers that wish to partially tender. I've never been presented with the question to over-tender. Well, the way the control system is configured, it would stop you at the max tender, but there's nothing that would stop us from allowing it to over-tender or over-authorize if required.
Okay. I would like to know, can materials be created on the fly?
No, the system does not have the ability to create a material on the fly. So if this is sitting on top of SAP SD or SAP for retail, essentially it's leveraging either the article master or the material master, and therefore doesn't allow you to ad lib. I've seen at a couple customers where they've got sort of a generic material to handle certain specific service items, but no, it doesn't allow you to dynamically create a new article on the fly.
Okay. How are you able to take the POS PCs out of the PCI scope with this solution?
There are two ways in which we remove it from the PCI scope. First of all, with solutions like the solutions like Tempest and Shift4, essentially we pass an amount over to their service. They go ahead and manage the swiping, the tokenization, and the authorization of it, and they bring us back the result of that transaction. In the case of Deliveroo and Paymetrics, their solution encrypts at the device, past encrypted card and track data, and that is passed through encrypted end-to-end into SAP and out through their gateway.
Okay. How do you handle SIG captures for call-in orders that are then delivered?
So on a call-in order, we don't capture signature because the person's not there to sign. So if the call-in order, the customer is going to come pick it up, then we could take the card as a hold and then actually capture signature at the time they arrive. Or if it's a case where the customer is presenting, wants to present their card information over the phone, then there is a specific iframe. Typically, each card or payment gateway company has their own technique for doing this, but in the case of Delego, we pop that frame up within the point of sale, and they capture the data within their PCI certified solution, and again pass us back just the tokenized information as well as the auth information.
Okay. We do have more time for questions. If you would like to ask a question, please press *6 to unmute your line or type your question in the Q&A window. That's *6 to unmute your line or you can type your question in the Q&A box in the lower right corner of your screen. Well, this will conclude our webcast. On behalf of ASUG's Chicago office, I'd like to thank our speakers and the retail and wholesale distribution SIGs for hosting this event, and thank you all for your participation today. As mentioned earlier, the slides and recording link will be emailed to you and will also be accessible on asug.com. Have a great rest of your day.